Get carried away. Thank you. Pot tight. Getting that pot tight energy out. That's for me too. Did that get it? Did that affect it yet? Did that solve the problem, everyone? I could play my instruments all over again. Yeah, I figured so. Okay, well, let's do the sounds again. If the sounds were muted, let's get the sounds going again. I don't mind. I don't mind giving out the sounds. If the sounds are muted, no, we definitely got to have the sounds. I'll put them back in. Give out the vibrations. Good. Everything is pretty cleansed, but I like the noises anyway. Oh, that sounds sweet. Okay. Thank you. Like Sly Stone said at Woodstock, let me take you higher. That's what he says, and the whole crowd goes higher. Can I take you higher? Higher. Can you imagine that to be right there, just killing it on the organ, just killing it. Your band is killing it. You got Larry Graham on the bass, and you got 600,000 hippies in front of you, and your shit is you use one of the creators of funk too, and you scream out, "Can I take you higher?" And 600,000 people repeat that back at you, higher. Nothing can do that like music. That's why there's these moments in history that people just miss and don't really understand what was happening when it was happening. You know. Ah, I did. It's funny. I want to bring this up. Crazy Sarge just sent me a picture of he got another singing bowl, but he also got the alchemy dish. Now I've told the story before. I think was meant for a woman. I really liked the shape. I said, oh, this was a little different. Then I looked at it, I was like, ugh. But still, it goes with the marble. So that was why I got this. But it's not what I thought. But the whole point of it is this. I know DeMarco, he had a paper and he burned the paper and he said just some things he was trying to manifest to get rid of clear. Well, you can also do that with this. But you could go a little further because, like, whatever you're trying to bring in or whatever you're trying to get out of, you could burn in this, but you could add things to this and you could grind it up in this. I mean, you could totally like lock it out or bring it in, not just burn it and let it. You would burn it and then you would crush it down even more, and then you could add different elements to it. So that would be how the full ritual, or that would be a deeper way of obtaining what you want to obtain. So you can bring it in, take it out, whatever you want to do. But just simple, pedestal. You guys going?
Taco Bell.
Oh. Okay.
I'm all right, thanks for asking.
I saw you like 10 times today. Okay, so, oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. So, gosh. Homie, thank you for joining me. No, I think Dane made it pretty clear she didn't exist. The thing to study with the Tubmans is you can study the Tubmans in the Liberia movement. I believe the first president, the first American taken over there, one of their presidents was a Tubman, I do believe, or related to the Tubmans. But you find the Tubmans was like where they prosecuted Marcus Garvey, and Marcus Garvey was trying to do the same thing. He was taking people over to Liberia. It was the same program, and they prosecuted Marcus Garvey. But if you look at the Tubmans is related to people or taking people over there and securing the lands and doing the same thing like they do everywhere. Taking more and more of the land. I mean, that's what people don't understand about Liberia. They took Americans over to Liberia and started attacking the Africans there. And I mean, this like is almost no different than Haiti. What was his name? Taylor. General Taylor was like a crook for the CIA for years. I mean, it's still they over there with the influence. So do you see how even these people would be African Americans? And this is what they did over there, occupying that area and helping with the corruption. But it was done like a lot of the countries over there was at one time occupied by a European force. I mean, one of the coolest movies is to watch is Zulu, the original one, just the 1960s versions where the red coats is outnumbered and they ain't got nothing but spears. But they got enough, and they got spears and cannons. They got spears and cannons, and the numbers just kill them. This was how all of it probably really was. I mean, I've said before, that shit with Cortez, that shit makes no sense. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Said before, in the 1570s, the Europeans, the Spanish were like a day about getting wiped out of all of the Americas. And all of a sudden, 30 Indians, 30 melanated people, 30,000, melanated people show up out of nowhere and win the day for the Spanish. He tells you when Cortez kills Montezuma, only 30 men out of 500 men escaped. Then they want to tell you that he had 200,000 Indians that joined his side, but not. This is the second time he went, and they want to tell you the same kind of story of like when they went west, the Sacagawea story. There was one woman there that just could communicate and help Cortez through. Same story that they used to go out west of America. So, you want to? Well, I am the Galactic Daddy-O, and this is my Galactic Patio. So welcome everyone. Homie, Stacey Ray, what's happening? B Brown, thank you for joining me. So thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Stacey's. Okay, PJ, my man. Hey, there's DeMarco. What's happening, DeMarco? Yeah, and that's all I was adding to what you had done. I was just adding to what you had done. And Lebanon, again, out of Kobe, didn't fast year in the NBA. Is LeBron going out like Kobe? I don't think so. It's going to be his mama first. It's gonna be his mama first. Salute to the chat. Hey PJ. Thank Reese Peace. What's happening? Yeah, all history is suspicious, no doubt. But yeah, DeMarco, I was just adding on what you did, because it made me think of you when Crazy Sarge sent me the pedestal. So that's something to consider, how you want to do a little alchemy and get rid of it. I want to mention this before I forget it. Did y'all see, if anybody saw Saturday Night Live, and I guess I wanted to make a video of it, but it's like that big a deal. They talk shit about Zach Hubbard on Saturday Night Live. What's her name's husband? It come to me in a second. Not Michael, but the other dude, Jost, the Jewish dude. And they had a big subject too. Watch the Saturday Night Live. Watch where they do the little news broadcast with Michael Shea and Colin Jost, or Colin. Colin is Jewish. They do a little Jewish faith people thing too. Check that out. But they did a dig at Zach when they did the number breakdown. I mean, they really did. They took about, like, it's in, just watch Saturday Night Live, watch the little broadcast thing with Colin and Michael Shea. Watch that part. And they do the gematria on it. It's like, wow, they're making fun of this shit. That's what they do. But check that out. But the Jewish faith thing too. They admit that it's like 7 or 8 people out of a what is it, a cast of maybe 20. It's maybe 10 Jewish faith people on there. Colin Jost, the girl he married, the actress, they're both Jewish faith. So it is pretty much a show that highlights them in a way, but they make fun. I did want to get that in. And this is one thing that we all have to see. Now, in this young man's shooting, it is so crazy that everybody wants to talk about it. What's his name? Jason Black. He put me out to chat because I'm thinking, why do you care? Why do you care? It is such a distraction that has nothing to do with our community. This is totally on them. The ball was hit back in their court. This is their folly. But this is the thing. And even the people that want to put in, this is the kicker. They want you to look at a from a liberal, woke perspective. They want you to join. That's what Jason Black, when he puts all this about the whole trial, he is really pushing this liberalism stuff, this woke stuff, because that's why you should care. That is the point of it. You should care because you're a liberal, you're woke, you should care. That is, he's supposed to be the black channel, but he's affiliating you with the liberalism. Do you understand that? This is something to ignore. Who cares? It is really a who cares. So don't get caught up in like Quantum of Science says, go up. The shit that you see, you can stiff arm that shit. You stiff arm that shit. And I don't contradict myself because, like I said, I guess I didn't say it tonight. I am the holder of the infinite sacred ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. That is why I have to dabble when it comes to the ball games. This is one of my missions. And I am alone in that mission. Not really from where I come from, the way I look at it, the way I look at the sacredness, so many ways that this is misused, and so many ways it can be used to bring a global unity. But the whole thing was corrupted. And because it's corrupted, and because I do hold this energy, I have to report on it. So yes, I go in far enough to say, from a skilled perspective, of being a person that has long time studied this since the 70s. I mean, really studied this and how this thing works. That's why I do go a little bit into the corruption. But yet, my thing is straight up. So the point is stay away from stuff that it don't mean nothing. That really don't mean nothing. Yeah, they want us into fake reality. It's going along with special distancing. They know all of us get together. They can't control us. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is why the breakup of not just, the melanated people's family, the breakup of everybody's family. Because, Catholics was at a point where they couldn't even get divorced. No matter what. You was Catholic, that was one thing you got to look at. There was no breaking up that family. The Godfather and other shows try to show this. Goodfellas tries to show this. You have your side chick, but you got a wife. What they say, you can't leave. Remember? It's like you can't leave. You cannot leave. You can have her, or we'll kill her if you can't control yourself. That's what they were telling you. Yeah, you can have her, but you put her in her role, but you're not leaving your wife. Now, was that was keeping the families together, but they made it easy for them too. Made it easy for them too. Made it easy for the whole society. Hey, so what do you think of the metaverse? Like I initially said the other day, it was a dude, and real or fake, I couldn't tell you, but the dude said he came from the future, and he said one thing that devastated him, why he tripped out off the whole event. They said that his friend was able to go into the kind of a fake reality, and he was able to go in this reality, but he wasn't able to come out. It was a permanent kind of thing. That's the first thing I thought of when I heard this, that they was doing that. And then player one, definitely player one. But you can see, like that picture I put of the lady smoking a cigarette behind the glass. It's that. It's really that kind of outlook on everything. It's like, you can't think of a more evil time in history. Not really. Not the way they're doing it now. The slow evil, the slow killing of you, the slow corrupting everything. This is like you. I heard someone comment today that said they watched TV the first time in months, and it astounds you. It astounds you, the information and the disregard for even children. And this is supposed to be the daytime hours. So it is a total corruption, like all the time. And like even the thing in schools with masks, you can't really think that that's a good thing. It appears like they are really setting children up to have all these sinus problems moving forward. That's what it looks like. It looks like this is an experiment to see what is going to happen to these young people if we put this on them for a couple of years. This is the school is the easiest controlled group. The rest of society ain't been like this, and you cannot say that is helping children. You just can't tell me that. Some children are strong enough, don't bother. But some children are going to have problems from this. And it is an attack on the children, a controlled attack. And again, people showing Austria, right now, you don't really have to go nowhere. And if you want to walk around, you want to play at the park or go to the gym, but you don't really have to go anywhere. Act like now, see, this is the problem. They had it where you don't need to go in their stores. You don't need to go to the grocery store. You don't need to go to none of that. They already set up where, they can bring that right to your house, or you can drive and they'll put it in your trunk. They ain't getting rid of that. It's a place called Myers, Thrifty Acres in Michigan, the Midwest. They've been doing that since I was a boy. They never stopped doing that. Most grocery stores, there was another grocery store, I think it later turned into Kroger's. I think it was called Town and Country. They did that. That was back, even before Michigan had the bottle thing, you could always take back bottles. Whatever they gave you, I don't remember what they gave you for them, but you could always take back them. It was like, the way the bottles was looked at, the companies wanted the bottles back. They didn't want the bottles broken. The company there was certain, like Coke and Pepsi, always paid to get their bottles back. You understand? So a broken bottle was very like a liquor bottle or a cheap wine bottle, but not pop bottles. You could always take them back. Before even Michigan did their law about you get money, dime for everyone. Plastic, glass didn't matter. Dime for everyone when you return it. But at one time, them companies took them bottles back. But just pay attention to the distractions because there are so many of them. Over sexualizing youth with everything. And okay, I'll say this. Hey, Jeffrey, it was like watching the cowboy movie on Netflix, watching that shit. Corny, overacting, but then the over sexualizing too. I mean, it's like the first 20 minutes. It's like first 20 minutes just gonna get into it. I'm like, okay, where have I seen this kind of thing before? It's like that's all we want to do. Kill and have sex. I don't even like going anywhere and seeing people so brain dead with their mask and signing into stores. Yeah, Stacy. Seriously. Um, just chilling, PJ. LTS, you said something? Did you say something? Did I miss your question? I don't think I did. What's happening, Jeff? Hey, let me tell y'all what they did. On my Note 12, or no, it ain't 12. It's the Pro Max 12, whatever it is. They gave me Facebook. I ain't even asked for Facebook on it. They figured out a way to give me Facebook on this other phone. And that's some shit. I did not sign up for it. I did bring in some Google. I brought in a couple Google because that shit on the iPhones, they ain't got their search shit, and they want you to pay for just news. But their search is not as good as Google. And the maps, you got to use Google Maps. They don't. The eye people don't have a maps. You got to use Google Maps, as far as I've learned. So, but they gave me Facebook. They figured out a way, and I ain't even asked for it. So, you don't think they don't want to watch you? But to get back to the point, they want you. They want to get back to the point of the lady smoking the cigarette in the picture where I was always used that. They do want this thing to be so bad that the only time you can have what you wish for is through that. You can create, like you don't have all the money out here, but through this, you can create who you really want to be. Instead of working on yourself out here and putting yourself in the situations to be what you think you should be, they want you to plug into that. Because Facebook is already with you all the time with your phone. So they want to keep you in that dream world where it feels real. Remember the movie with Rocky and Sandra Bullock? She gave him a towel and she's like, yo, you'll need this. And then they get it on when they looking in the thing. And then after he takes the thing off, he wants to get it on for real. And she's like, ooh, no, fluids. Remember that part? Ooh, live fluids? That would make sterile people. They want the youth corrupted. They won't know any better and go straight into the metaverse to attend school, etc. Oh, that's a possibility. Same thing. What would be the difference between you take off the mask but you put on the headset and you have the virtual teacher teaching the same kind of indoctrination? I mean, think about like when I went to school, all the desks was in one way. That's kind of how you line up to march. If you think about it, like gym class was made for the military to keep children military, not lazy. That's why the gym classes were made across America. And of course, the games were added, but originally the reason why they did gym was to keep the men. That's why the women was different, the way they had them work out. And then eventually the women copied the men things, but not originally. This was just for dudes, military, keep them military fit, grow them up military fit. I drank all my beer. So I'm funky enough. So they're playing with our securities. Yeah, they are. Um, I saw reports in Canada and Sweden about possible terrorist threats from the Maxiners. So you already know. Well, okay. Will be able your best vision 24/7. Yeah, be your fake version. Exactly. Uh Pornhub in the metaverse. Oh yeah. Pretty close to that now. It's pretty close to that now. Um like you could call a chick and plug in like that. You know, it's women that you know, are low witches that can, you know, talk to you, and while they talking to you can make you visualize what she's saying to you. That's a little easy spell that can be done over the phone or the computer, you know. So that's a spell already going. It's women good enough to do that. Metaverse shit is trash with PlayStation and graphics. You can buy virtually now for thousands. Not so crazy thought. Virtual art now for thousands. Oh yeah. The NTFs. Yeah. They make it being able to do whatever part you want, where people want to leave it. Well, it's a grim reality. It's a grim reality. They want to see how people, like they tell you Austria what's happening, and they're gauging the shit they was doing in New Zealand is gauging. You know, they're gauging on how the world gonna react to things. I've said before that with that Floyd shit, you know, 19, they basically practiced what they did to the dude. It's almost identical what they did to him. And with the other shootings here, it seemed very much like this was a practice area. So practicing for what possibly could come. And I think in some ways they were slightly ready because they had the fake dude breaking the glass to make people loot. But I think it was a burst of energy that burst, kind of almost like they'll show an animation, you know, when something explodes and it goes thousands of miles. It kind of like that energy just passed to like, fuck these motherfuckers. They've been lying and stuff so much that and this fear went away. I mean, this fear of this thing went away for about 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. It went away. They had nothing to say about that. They didn't care. There was no push. Just think if that thing could have kept pushing all year round, what it would look like if people would have stayed united and kept rebelling still. They would have never went back to talking about this thing. That thing would have went away. All the attention would have been negotiating. And the negotiations definitely should have been throw this thing away. Y'all lying about that shit. That is the power that the people really had. Keep this thing going. The bullshit inflation we going through right now, telling you that there's so many jobs that people don't want to work. People rebelled against assholes too. Said that many times. It's been some fucked up people out there have a little bit of power and really sit there like they a Gould. They really think this. And over jobs that ain't shit. Jobs pay $9-10 an hour. And you try to get comfortable. Because that's something that my generation didn't really see. As I saw with my father's generation. There was a comfortable where you got jobs and you could stay in the job for 30 years. You really could. That was almost the thing with all them. I think my stepfather worked 32 years. My father was able to work 29 years. Yeah. Same place. And as I got older, that kind of opportunity went away more and more. It was almost set up where they only wanted you to work so many years. And definitely, I've talked before what they did in Battle Creek. You know, created an industrial park and wanted to keep people moving around it. Keep people moving around. Or don't give them benefits. Just kick them from one thing to the other. Bring in the temp agencies. Temp agencies don't help. They hurt. They mainly with the factories. Remember, they getting paid more to bring you in there. They're getting a portion of your money. You're getting 10, they might be getting 17. So they making $7. You working $7 for them. Think something big is going to happen in the next couple of months. I think the threat of the energy is definitely you got to think about that there's going to be something with the energy. So if you live in the northern states, like I'm still talking about ordering a stove, but really my grill can be a stove in a way. I could get it to make it to be a stove too, in a pinch just to get started. But that's a possibility. Like the thing that you have to remember, as long as your water runs, if it's freezing, run your water, no doubt. Turn your water on. Like all those people that lived in Texas, all you had to do is just turn your water on. If you knew it was going to be freezing and you ain't had no heat, so like if you knew it was going to be in the 30s, turn your water on. Just leave it running. It's better to have to pay the water bill than to pay them busted pipes. That you got to pay for the pipes, you got to pay for the ceiling if you got water damage. So that was one thing I would say. So we'll see. Already in Michigan, we see they're playing with they're going weeks where they're turning off the power for hours. There's no problem. I think my daughter said Friday, Saturday morning, 9 hours without power. Nothing, no reason given. Just the power went out. And they didn't say any reason why the power went out. So that's something to consider. It ain't. Temp agents got $3 or $4. If you make 18 an hour, you know that company is hiring for 20. Yeah, absolutely. I was seeing that. I was seeing, what the offers were coming in. I looked at it from both sides. I was able to see it from both sides. What the temp companies and if we wanted to bring people in, and I used to. It's funny. I've watched husbands. Now this is a funny phenomenon. I've watched husbands sabotage. Like where I worked, when I worked for Johnson Control, we had a lot of husbands and wives working at the factory. I mean, it was a very common thing. Check this out. I watched one girl. The husband had been working, then he got her in. She started working, thought she was cute. She went and told that he lied on his application about his background and got her husband fired. Went in and said he lied on his background. This, and this, and they fired the dude. She kept working there. I had a girl that was my assistant, and her husband, I mean, again, he was working on the line. She was in meetings and shit because we had to have people speak Spanish where we was at too. And so she was my assistant, and like her husband would come into my lab, and I didn't really care, but the engineers didn't like the shit, and they demoted her. There's nothing I could really do over her husband coming in because he was jealous. The engineer that I work with didn't like it, and they really wasn't doing that. He was just sitting there, and it was like work was over. But it's like his insecurity sabotaged her. Because to me, I didn't care. But others looked at it and they replaced her. I had to pick somebody else. So you want to support your person. If you're in that situation, you want to support your person. Well, yeah, you're a slave for the way they had it in Michigan was like 90 days. 90 days, you either kept them or they had to leave. I mean, it was seldom that you could go over that period. It was like 90 days. If you didn't keep them, they would pull the contract, give you another job somewhere else, because it was either hire you or you had to quit working. Now here in Minnesota, they'll damn near let you work forever with the temp company. Let the temp company make money. Don't make them make a decision. So they're a little different in this state. Yeah, she did that to her husband, Lorenzo. Yeah, she did that to her husband. Because I had met her, she was new, and she was like, I had one of the machines I had to test, or my people had to test. So I knew most operators, so she was operating this machine. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, I met her. She didn't tell me she was dude's husband. And then he's like, oh, that's later it came up. I'm like, oh, damn. She don't act like she's married. I'm like, I was just kind of tripping, but yeah, that's what she did to him. That's what she did to him. So, and subconsciously, the brother, he was just insecure. It was a macho thing somewhat, which to me, I didn't care. Again, it was the end of the day. It was like maybe 10 minutes left to work. He was sitting in there with her. And I was out. All my stuff was put up. It wasn't nothing he could steal in there. Everything worth money was put up. So they was just sitting there together in the lab at the end of the day. I really didn't care. I said at the end of the day. But it was like, yeah, at the end of the shift, that I did not care. But it, somebody else saw it and didn't like the way it looked. Like, what is he doing in there? You don't work in your department. Why is he in there? I'm like, well, it was the end of, shift was about to end. They ain't like the way it looks. That's stability. They get rid of people now. Revolving. Yeah. Well, manners, greetings. Oh, yeah, Lorenzo, thanks for joining. But yeah, so it's like, why would you sabotage your person? And I guess the other way to look at it is like, he could have waited to 10 minutes and when she got out and been professional. This was quite a jump from what she was doing. This was like a pretty big jump for what she had been doing. I picked her. They was like, this is what you need. I was like, hey, we had worked together 3 or 4 months and she was solid. So I was like, look, this position is up. This is what you got to do. Do a little training, see if you can do it. And she did everything. She was shit. We was working where they was, the company would buy lunch. I'm sitting up there with all the managers. There's the one running the plant, all the engineers, and then we having a working lunch. She's sitting there with me, taking notes, and we eat, she eat. I mean, this is a big jump from people working out on the lines, running around, being stuck in one spot. She had a desk. So perhaps, and young, they was young. I mean, they was probably in their mid-20s. But he sabotaged her. Because she had to go back to what she was doing before, and somebody else came who was in the meetings. I mean, people that you live with could turn on you for a lot of different reasons. That's just a common thing that's always been there. Woman call the cops on you, mad. You spend a couple nights in jail, and you get home, she regrets the shit. Especially if you didn't hurt her and it was just some bullshit because you got mad. That's why it's just best to stay balanced. In this day and age, it's not an easy thing to do to stay balanced. So many things throw off your vibrations. So many things. I mean, it's like people got a chance to be at home and be with their spouse, and people was going crazy. People talking about they broke up because they had to stay home with somebody. How Richard Pryor said. Richard Pryor said, how about, what did he say? Let's not fuck no more for like 2 years, and then let's get back together after those 2 years. We'll fuck like rabbits. Excuse. Now both couples, the one couple, he end up going to prison. Yeah, Heather's man, I can't think of his name, but he ended up going to prison. I know that. I don't know how he ended up going to prison, but he went to prison. The other couple, I saw them out, and she was doing something else, and he wasn't working there. I had got a offer to do CMM at Bentler, so I had left Johnson Control and went to Bentler. And I've said before, one of the main components we made was Mercedes and their doors. That's what we did when I worked at Johnson Control. We made doors, so I had a lot of experience with making doors. But they made the solid piece of, maybe I didn't explain this, but I talked about this before. So at the time, and we're talking like 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. We're talking about those 5 years because a car is like 5 years linked. Most cars are the designs are linked for about 5 years. So what Mercedes had and why they said their doors were some of the most protected doors is all they did is put an extra bar. It was like an extra bar about so big. Yeah, probably like fat as this. It was a bar that went through the door, and it was two. It was a bar on top and a bar on bottom. So you figure eight bars per car. And it was a welding plant, the robot welding for the most part. And what's funny is, I've said this before, the plant caught on fire like every week. The plant caught on fire, the roof caught on fire every week. It was the damnedest thing. We never went more than 2 weeks without a fire because of them robots, all that welding. But mostly the robots. Some shit catch the roof on fire, and we got to leave the plant. It's the damnedest thing. But that's what we made. Little pieces of wire so big. Or pipes, I guess, use a solid little pipes that went in the Mercedes doors. Like you take a M class, because they made them, and I've told the story before how I got something approved because we went down there, and that plant was fairly new, and when I went down there in 2, forget when that Mercedes Alabama plant was built, but went down there and saw their lighting, helped them kind of with their lighting around certain areas. So I put the lighting in, so I knew kind of what they looked at, and it was we had some material in that didn't pass, but I knew what they looked at. I was like this lighting here, I was like, look, yes, this don't pass to us and our standards. It doesn't pass. But I said, down there with the lighting they have, they will never tell the difference. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars if it's a mistake with just the color. Because they'll start putting this vinyl on these doors and, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was like, this will pass. Same thing is I would see something was funky and the engineers wanted it passed. I'm like, you sign this. I learned that easy. I'm like, you're not going to blame me. Because I remember I had rejected about $10,000 of something small as like a little glove box. Something small as that. But it wasn't that. It was a part, and the color was off. Found 3 or 4 of them. The color was off. Shit, them dudes sent a guy down to me, and we went through every one. And I had the three or 4 that I found was off. I showed them. And then we went through every one. And I only found 3 or 4 we went through boxes and boxes. And all of them, they checked out. The rest of them checked out. It was all, I agreed, they was in spec. But it was a time where all the engineers was going. I remember an engineer made a joke about it. It's like someone rejected, a whole lot of stuff and then later passed it. And I was like, yes, I passed it after going through every piece. Every piece. Sometime being thorough. That's the moral to the story. Sometime being thorough is worth it. She don't let too much get near me, if you want to know what I mean. There you go. We hear that is cool. That is real cool, PJ. Give me a second. I'm going to grab more water. I forgot to bring it out. Ah. I was watching Brother Bomber, and he was using his tumbler. Like, this thing is 5 years old. I mean, you see, this look like this ain't nothing new. You know, it's a little bit of zinc you can see, a little bit of zinc on it. Not no new stuff. Brother Bomber says something interesting. Him and I are about the only ones that really talk about the Tsar and study the Tsar, the world of the women in Sudan. Like this stuff, this book. Now, what was interesting, he brought up, he said, now, one point he said that the way to bring in the evil spirits is you cut the head off of a ram, and then the evil spirit, or not even the evil spirit, let me start again. If you wanted to really have to go into the Tsar world, you cut the head off, and he was saying that the beans come out of the ass. You know, to take possession of the person, because the entity, this light entity, can kind of tribal wise get some things done, help with the manifesting, bring it in. But he added the other day, and I don't know, a lot of people don't pay attention to the Tsar talk, but he added that, okay, so you cut the head of the ram off, the entity, because again, you got to take the whole wrap. You can't just take a part of it. You got to take all of it. So the evil entity comes out of the ass and possesses the person. And apparently, well, he didn't add, he like omitted that part. But this is what he said in the past. But he says this time you cut the head off, and then the switch is, as the entity comes and possesses you, you can use the ram's energy to move through the Tsar. So it's a trade-off for the different type of step-ins. Only thing I will say is the sisters don't really present it like that. As I've said before, there's the one girl that no blood was spilled. She was able to break down everything that this author, Janice Body. She was able to, another sister was able to break down Janice's life. She was able to go to the past through the Tsar and see her life. Now, they never mentioned any blood being spilled for that. But I thought that was an interesting take. I thought that was an interesting take on that. And I thought it was worth mentioning, not to say he's wrong or right, but he just didn't tell the whole story as he told before.
You up?
What's up?
Why you look so fucking happy?
I'm happy. So for those of you that can kind of dig that and understand what the Tsar, I can see the benefit in that. I can't say it's necessary. You can obtain that without any blood. Those of you that want to do enough practice in this book, you got to study this book, but you really got to understand what you're reading and what they're giving you and the path that you can take on using this. Can't really say, I can't say no, but I can say that I don't really think it's necessary. Again, you don't even really have to do the trade-off. I guess that's the best part I could add, is like, you don't have to be possessed to use this. You don't have to make a trade. It is, and this seems to supersede all, or being able to interrupt all other dimensions. I guess maybe I don't add that. This is the one thing seems to disrupt every dimension, or almost like it has a back door, like a back door to all the firewalls from every dimension. I don't see a lot of other things put out there that can do that. And it seems to be able to do that from what I've able to see and use with it. It can disrupt a lot of this stuff. Thought I'd add that. What's the word? Conspiracy University. 5-on-5 in NBA rig, lock it for Suns to get 11-3 over Dallas on Wednesday. Okay. Because, man, the Suns, really the Suns should have lost today because the Suns played in Houston last night. Tough game. Then had to fly all the way here to Minnesota where it's cold and play. Really, they should be at disadvantage, but they end up winning by 3. And the Timberwolves have lost. They're 4-8. Yeah, 4-8. They've lost 7 out of 8. The last 7, they only beat the Lakers. They beat the Lakers, and then the next day, because they was in like a trip where they gave them the Lakers one night, Clippers the next, and they lost to the Clippers. Reggie Jackson. So it's really scripted bad for the Timberwolves. But Michael just came in. He went to the game tonight. Because he said, I noticed there was some dudes wearing the old Seattle Supersonics jerseys, and he said he saw them. They was wearing, he said, Kemp and Peyton jerseys. And they saw Larry Fitzgerald Jr. They saw Larry Jr. Larry Jr., Larry Jr. grew up here. I mean, we got top hoopers. We got the boy that's playing with the Magic from Gonzaga from last year. He's playing with the Magic. He's rookie year. We got Chet Holmgren playing with Gonzaga. Gonzaga #1. He only had about 4 points and a couple blocks and a couple rebounds, but I mean that was his first game. And then we got Duncan Garcia at North Carolina. Chet is from Minnetonka, but Duncan is from down here in Prior Lake. Like we watched Duncan play. Duncan is like my 20-year-old son's age. Went to school with him. Duncan was 6'10", 6'11" in high school. My son's 6'7". They're asking him to play as a 9th grader, and he didn't want to do it. Can't force him. So just wanted to bring up some possibilities that people brought things up and how maybe you can apply it. Because your mind it's like where I usually put one of my skulls near me for protection, but they came through on just a little meditation. They came through and they didn't need it. It wasn't like that, but it was like they were there with me. And so it's like, okay. And a lot of times, let me say this for the skulls. They're almost, as things are coming up, it's like, God, I hate to use these words, but I'll use it to try to understand. So you're kind of coming into new fractals. I guess that would be the easiest way to say it. Fractals that aren't familiar. Maybe that's the easiest way to say it. Realm. I don't know if realm is properly, but it's that kind of thing. And so a lot of times the skulls will kind of come in first. It's almost like a bridge to kind of understand. It's like the skulls. I'll see the skulls start coming in, and it'll catch my attention enough. Whereas I'm like, as new type of fractals is the best way I can say it. Realms come in. It kind of gives me a heads up sometimes. I'll say they do that too. So skulls, again, the skulls are your mind, and it has a universal connection. All the skulls are basically the way they were created in the Americas. It was almost like the phones, skulls and the mirrors. I mean, it was just depending on which technological way you were. Of course, the skulls were a little more connected to what would be looked at as holy men, and the mirrors to some extent. But the mirrors, everyone had access to obsidian, so anyone could polish their own mirror. It wasn't like it was just a gem that they could. Skulls were a different story. I mean, you see these skulls, the original skulls, when they do show them. And now they just show you the fake ones, and they can recreate them. CNC machines, can recreate these skulls now, but these are lasers. This stuff was the original ones, because they make the mistake of showing this stuff. The original ones, they can't even make that. They don't know how someone else could have made them so perfectly. So, and I've talked about this before, is like you put all the skulls together. That was the original idea of the time crystals, was when you put all the skulls together, what the skulls could create in the middle would be a type of time crystal, a type of continuous energy. And that's all really a time crystal is. That is what this beast wants. That's the one thing it doesn't have. It still needs power. So this power outage in some ways threatens this beast, because this beast has to have power. Bits have to have electricity, have to have coal, have to have atomic energy. So in some ways, when that cuts down, it cuts the beast down. Consider that too. Let me mention this. This is a good one for everybody. As I said before, the reason why we still have, like think about it like this: the Jetsons was in the early '60s. The Flintstones and Jetsons is two shows that's really twins of each other. They talked about flying cars, not electric cars. They talked about flying cars by the '80s. GM had an electric car that was really so good that they destroyed them all. They just scrapped and destroyed every one. There's like two bodies, but no batteries in them, because they would have probably taken over the market even then. But I've said, there's a troll under the bridge. There are beings that like this in the atmosphere. There are beings that like the nasty water, that the pipes corrode, that the way the oceans are, the way the lakes are. There are beings that thrive with this. And I bring this up, and I know I talk about this all the time, but what I saw tonight, this is a prime example. Now, I'm going to have to use another word so people understand. Well, I'll explain it as I go. So what I saw tonight was a feeder. I saw one of these exhaust feeders. And the only way I can describe it, and I've said this before, it was a phantom-like energy. Now, again, phantoms love around wars, and then phantoms tend to show up around a lot of death. So but I just want to, I only say that because to get you to understand what this type of being looked like. And these beings, literally, these little feeders, literally go where cars go. Like on the roads, these things are on the roads. And I don't know if they mother feed the thing, but I saw this thing that feeds off this thing tonight. I saw this thing, and I want to call it a phantom, but it is a phantom that didn't feed on blood. It would be a type of phantom that would feed on this gas, this exhaust, all these exhausts that are in the air from so many different things. We were talking about just fruit, how all the gas it takes just to make fruit. You know, you got to have a thing that's run by gas to make the water move. You got to have trucks to, people to go drive to pick it. So just everything is almost tied into putting this stuff in the air. And I just caught one of them. And it really, God, I can't even, it was like a square shape, but like if you looked from a kind of like a box from the side, like more of a long triangle box, like even if like the fairing in the front of the car, but it like the old cars had the old overhangs, the modifications. It almost looked like that. You know how you'd put the little kit on the car and it would really look low in the front. It was almost like a clear black little gray thing that was about wide as the car, but like an extra fairing on the car, like those extensions of those kits. But it was this black clear light thing that just went right around the ground, and it was like right in front of the car. And it was one of them feeders. So this is why the pollution is really allowed. This is why we drive the cars we still drive. I've seen things. I've read articles about why it's bad to put the oil reserves out that America holds. If you do the full reading about this gas, it will never run out in the lifetime of any of us alive. From a baby until that baby lives, this gas stuff will never run out. America invents this stuff, and then they make you believe that OPEC in the 70s, and I've said this before, that's a totally created thing to make you think that we rely on them. That's some lie shit that we don't. We have mountains full of gas that would never run out. And of course, the military uses a lot. The military is the biggest polluter in the country. For 20-year-old dudes who are conscious of the wild times we in and trying to find their purpose, hard to be part of society sometimes due to how lost so many people are. Yeah, it's like Friends. I mean, it really is. It's like it makes you like sometimes wonder why people take an interest in you. Wonder like what do they really want, especially newer people as they come into your life. You have to function. Like that's something I have to really guard. I'm such a healer that so many broken people are attracted to me. And that is not my purpose to have to heal anyone. If I can't meet someone, and it's not that you have to be on the same level, but you don't really need healing. That's what I mix better with. Or what you're negative about, I have that positive where we charge each other up, where we balance each other out. I work better in that kind of thing. And sometimes it's just not even worth people being in your energy. Especially like you do something like fast or you meditate daily for a lot. Sometimes you might not even want to deal with certain outside sources just because you're trying to raise your vibration so high, especially when you want to manifest. When you're trying to manifest, it's like when you work and trying to stay focused when you work. You don't need anything when you're trying to achieve something, and no matter how you work, you don't really need a lot of distractions when you're doing what is your main purpose that you enjoy doing. You don't want anybody to knock you off of that. You want to be able to stay on that. So you have to consider that. There are people that are coming in your life just to hate on you. It is just the weirdest phenomenon. It's like you will help people and the people will start hating you just because you helped them. It's like you saw somebody needed help, they asked you and you helped them, and yet they hated you because you helped them. Isn't that crazy? I have run across people like that needed help, asked for help, I helped them, and they hated me. They started hating me for helping them. And I'll say this, disrespecting me while I'm helping them. I kept helping them. I kept being disrespected by the dude. Subtle. It was a subtle disrespect, but it was still disrespect. From the very beginning when I started helping him, he started disrespecting me. Subtle though. Subtle. But still it was a disrespect. So beware of that. Beware of that. Beware of that. Especially on your spiritual thing. There used to be a show called Romper Room, and I brought this out the other night. And like the lady would always say at the end, she had a mirror. Again, that American kind of magic. She had a magic mirror, and she would say all the people she could see. And I was like, I don't know. I was looking through this the other day, and I caught something weird. I was like, man, what is in the audience? It's like something was weird came out. So, who's out there? I see Joey and Jimmy, and that's what this chick used to say. And I'm against the TV. It's called Romper Room. It was out of South Bend. I'm like, when she's gonna call my name before I go to school? So caught some weird shit the other day. Okay, you just never know. Mad because they needed help. Self-hate. Yeah. Oh, definitely self-hate. Definitely self-hate. Self-hate, self-preservation. That's another thing too. They see you as a threat to what they're doing. A lot of people is like that passive aggressive kind of shit. And when you don't fall for their passive aggressive, you kind of stand up to it. A lot of people like crack. Said before, I stood up to one dude, and this dude like called the owner about me. That shit shook him so bad because he had never had somebody who was his equal just look him in the face and say, "What the fuck is you talking about? This is it right here. This is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I did. Why are you even criticizing me? He didn't even work with me." But no one had ever stood up to that person. And it was like the world fell on him. And that is why a lot of people didn't want to go back to work. That's my whole point. You run into these assholes. I watched one dude that stole from his company every day. He went in 3 hours early. He got paid 3 hours overtime every day. And all he did is one of his friends worked the previous shift. And they would just sit and talk for 3 hours. This dude didn't even get in his uniform or nothing. He would just go have coffee, have breakfast with his friend for 3 hours. Didn't do any working or anything. And they let him do that for years. Because I went in there a little early one day and I'm looking, he wasn't doing shit. Because I think I went in early and I had to start doing something. And this dude wasn't doing nothing. He was just sitting in another dude's office, drinking coffee, watching TV. That's all he was doing. Stealing. And nobody ever said anything about it. So this is how some are allowed to steal from the system, and the system just says, okay, steal more from me. I watched Eternals fully, and it's very deep. They are showing a lot of things to people. I'll say this, Jeffrey. That movie damn near 3 hours. There's no way. I'm considering maybe go tomorrow. It's $5 tomorrow. Maybe I'll go because I can drink a couple beers and be all right by the time the movie ends. But 2 hours and 40 minutes? Ooh, that is a long damn time to see at the movies. We could have watched it last night. We watched the Rings thing, and it was okay. Kind of seeing some of the same shit. Shang-Li, whatever it is. We watched Finch or whatever it's called with the Tom Hanks. He creates the robot. We watched that shit last night. My son said it was the greatest movie he ever saw. To me, it wasn't no different than when he had the beach ball. It was pretty much the same movie as he had the beach ball. But instead of having the beach ball, he had a dog and a computer. I mean, the dog was the copy of the Will Smith movie. That was a direct copy of that. And then instead of having the beach ball, he has a robot. He had a couple of them at first. One of them fell for a trap, but I mean, and my son says it's such a great movie. He invented this robot that you don't know what powers the motherfucker. I mean, the power got to come from somewhere. And one of the weird scenes of the movie is his belly, he finds out is the can opener. Can opener, like he has a can and the can just sticks to him and I mean, I wonder why they threw that in there. But see, Will Smith in our robot called them can openers. That's why they threw that scene in there. So the shit was slow as hell. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't think it was that great. It's really not that good. The last 3 Marvel movies have been trash. Still, oh yeah, I watched Free Guy. Yeah, I broke that down. Free Guy was good. Free Guy was good from the point of them showing and exposing you to Mai. That's why Free Guy is good. The aim of the Mai again is to be self-aware. Now, a good point about this meta. the Mai loves that because in the Mai, he doesn't have to be as self-aware. Remember, what's his name? He played the gladiator in his first movie when he played in that movie with Denzel. Remember that guy played in that? He was in the computer thing, and then he came out. And again, that was a movie about the Mai. It was interesting. He had the brother chasing the Mai, but that was the same thing. You know, the Mai being self-aware. And remember, sometimes Denzel had to go in. At first, he had to go in, and then the Mai was able to come out, and Denzel came back out and chased the motherfucker. Well, this is the same thing. But see, in the meta world, the Mai ain't got to try as hard. It's already going to be as aware as anybody can be in there. See, think about it. When you go in there, you like out here, you have so much self-awareness. Your aura is so big. Your personal magnetic field is so big. But in there, all that goes away. Like intuition and everything, all that goes away. Now, I know you say, well, you have intuition in doing a game and stuff. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same intuition that you would be used in a challenge and in the game, because a lot of that meta is set up for social groups, like The Sims. It's really going to put you like The Sims, where you can relate to people like a Sims type of world. And of course, buying shit, presenting your castle shinier. I mean, it's going to come to that, where people with money can spend just, and it's like almost like I say, when people die, the temporary heaven that you can get when you go into that light, that temporary heaven. And I'm gonna say this: Quantum of Science said he says he disbelieves all the people that say don't go in the light. He thinks that's a trick. Well, okay. I'll say this, buddy: when it's your time to kick the bucket, you go into the light and you see if you live forever. Because there's a conscience that continues after this, and it ain't in that light. Because we've been tricked. This light is all a trickery. The void, you'd rather have that than have any type of light. And when you really can shut all this off and you get into it, there's no artificial light. I cover up. When you really leave yourself or whatever, how you experience the visions, whatever, I'll cut the light out. The only time I really use light, I'll use light with mirrors, because you have to have a little light to activate the mirror. It's got to be some type of light. But even stepping into the mirror type of transition, it's like that shit that once you go into that mirror kind of reality, that shit's behind you. The fake light that opened the mirror up in the first place is behind you. You don't bring that in there with you. You are in that kind of thing without this kind of fake light that activated it. You just need the light to help activate it. So, buddy, you can think that is opposite if you want. But if you never spoke or you never experienced it, you never saw that light open up, you never saw how they try to sweep people into it, I mean, you can see this kind of thing to see if it's something you want to fuck with or not. You can't, this is something you can actually experience. Do like this: fuck with the light, the thing that offers the light, fuck with that for a couple weeks, and then fuck with meditating for a couple weeks, and then see which kind of answer you can get. Well, Denzel had a cybernetic arm in that movie too. That was set in the near future. Absolutely. Yeah, Virtuosity. Quantum of Science is operative to me. He says good stuff, but also Agent Smith talk. Napturo Queen, I missed a few live because of no notification. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know if I'm shadow banned. I don't know. I'm not coming on here a lot. And it's like, what's funny is I do certain videos, you can see when they like it or not. They like when I do these lives. They really do, because it occupies a lot of time. Like they keep saying your viewing time. I keep getting this shit, your viewing time's down, because I don't do it every day. But I'll say this: I thank the people that hang with me when I do it. That hang with me, I appreciate that. The ones that watch it from beginning to the end, or go do something and check back in. I mean, that's cool. That's cool that a lot of you will do that with me, and I appreciate that. And it's just, I should have been doing it the last couple of days because me and my son stayed up till 3 or 4, and I slept till noon. I just like getting a cycle of sleep as well. But maybe perhaps I'll broadcast more going into the holiday. Um, like here's a perfect example. I love that 5 o'clock it gets dark, and right at 5 o'clock, Venus is in my. Let me get this right. Venus is in my south. Yeah, because everything comes to the south of me. So Venus was up around 5, really beautiful in the southern sky. And then the next thing that'll pop in about 5:30 is Jupiter, and then the smaller one will be Saturn. So right now, if you look you look to your south, and this is for America. In America, if you look to your southern sky, you will see like Venus is southwest. So if you look to the southwest, that's when Venus comes in. And then you look more to like the southeast, you'll start seeing Jupiter come in. Excuse me, Jupiter, and then the smaller one is Saturn. So, but I don't know if he's an agent. He is. There's times that he did some agent shit. I'll say that, of quantum of science. There are times that he really did some agent shit. I forget what it is, but it was some where he jumped on the bandwagon with them. He really did. He really I forget what it was, but he really jumped on the bandwagon. And I was like, oh, it was like today, Slides talked about, there's not a lot of things that get me riled, but he was like, what is the Orientals called? And then he was saying names of Americans and trying to compared Americans to that Israelite shit. Hell no. American society is older than that. So it's no way that we can come from something that's younger than us. Again, Hathor, it's not I'm trying to think that how they try to show the male god in Kemet. No, it's Hathor. Hathor is the oldest god, and Hathor is the direct copy of the goddess Mu out of the Americas. Look it up. So that got me a little riled watching slideshow, because you can't talk about a newer thing, newer information compared to the ancient stuff. America's much older. And it's not that thing, it's what's greater. No, it's not that at all. It's like if you study and you understand fractals and you see these patterns and how these patterns are reproduced all around the world, but you see the place where they started at, and you see the place where they have the most. I mean, look at this LiDAR and all that this is exposed. They didn't even realize how big this thing is. People just talked about it. Like they made that movie about Tribe Z or whatever, where them 2 Europeans went up deep in the Amazon and never came back. And that's what they did a lot. They went and a few of them disappeared, and they keep encroaching. They would never stop. But a lot of that stuff is too dense. It was like some of that stuff made them stop because they couldn't sustain it. They couldn't go deep in them woods and put everything there to sustain it. And as I said before, when they talk about the golden cities, El Dorado, Shangri-La, them is vibrations. And the LiDAR is to try to take down that kind of thing. Because having the pyramids just everywhere in the Americas kind of helps hold their vibrations. And so they're almost like generators, and they want to discover and try to take down all the generators so they can go and stay up there. That is the thing, is they're not to be able to sustain that kind of thing. And this ain't even talking about, Brother Bauman was talking about the cherubs and shit like that. This ain't even talking about that kind of shit. This is something that basically would be a type of man, a type of our people living in a certain vibration. A group of people can't be running the world gets me mad. He keeps saying it's reality. No, it's not just a reality. Well, a group of people, which I definitely think there are some time jumps, because a lot of, as I got to saying about Cortez, that shit makes no sense. The way they tell you they want America makes no sense. Not even the story of North America makes no sense. I mean, there were so few of them where people could have just killed them every time. I mean, really, there was enough people that could have just killed them anytime they did something funny. Like someone was saying that Thanksgiving, a part that they saw of Thanksgiving was they went around a Pequotton fort and then waited till everybody was sleeping and then went in there and slaughtered 700 people. Well, I've heard slight attack, but also poisoning people. So it possibly both stories could be true. They went in there and poisoned the people, and then while the people was recovering, they went in there and slaughtered them. And this is what they really celebrate. One of their first victories for the English, for the European in North America. So that's kind of us. So it's not a celebration for us in any way, shape, or form. This is nothing you should be celebrating at all. I mean, enjoy your family, enjoy food, but thanking for that. You know, it's like I've said before, we a few years, everybody's putting on why it is not good to think this thing, why it is not good to say fuck this thing, and, you know, ignore it as much as you can. Enjoy your family, but ignore this thing as much as you can. And here you got, I'm thankful for this. I'm see the thing that tricked them. One person put that out there, that spell out there. Well, what are you thankful for in America? And then people's just jumping on. You know, the stupidest shit in the world. Somebody starts some bullshit on Facebook, and then like 1,000 people to do the stupid shit. I mean, it's just, it just blows my mind that people understand that is such a simplistic type of spell. But why would you care? Why would you care enough to participate and then pass it on? I mean, this internet been around a long time. So it's like, you got to understand. It's like this TikTok shit that people just, well, you know, we need to do a little thing. Honey, we need to dress alike. You get your Jordans, I'll get a pair of Jordans. We get some red pants, Adidas and Adidas tops, and we'll do a cute little dance, and, you know, we'll put it out there and see what people think about us. That's what kind of relationship you want? You doing the electric slide with your lady? Is that what you want? You know, is that who everybody is? Is that who you are? You know, honey, we can do the electric slide and people will love it. Pass it on. I mean, you see so simplistic shit. I mean, I was like with this election shit is so funny. We was fucking, the Turtle Gang is my man, but we was fucking with it. Me and Hito Paul was fucking with it over the Harris shit. And he was getting so annoyed and mad at us. And this has been my man for years. But he was getting so mad because he liked Harris. And we was just like, hey, this is what's up with you, girl, and this and this. And he was like, well, I just like her. But again, you know, I'm feeding into the bullshit just to feed into the bullshit, just to fuck with somebody. But it was like he was totally like on defense. Like the shit put him totally on defense. It's like, man, it ain't that serious, bro. But you like who you like. Motherfuckers like personality. The biggest movie in the last 20 years, they are selling out all the tickets. I mean, the tickets on the planet. Spider-Man No Way Home. Wow. Okay. I work overnight. Well, thank you, Nepturo Queen. Yeah, okay, that's your name. Thinking there's I'm not trying to go nowhere Thanksgiving Day. There you go. I'm giving out. I've got a lot of food I got to give out. I got to count how many turkeys I had. I've got 2 in my refrigerator that I need to get rid of. They take up too much goddamn room. I've got probably two or three more in my deep freezer. So I want to get rid of them. I want to get rid of them. The last thing Quantum said was that he thought the people might be trying to help with the vaccine. trying to help. Okay, I hadn't heard that. That he thinking this thing is something to help with. I don't know. I don't. It's like him. Like I talk stuff about Zach, but Zach is alright. I've noticed with Zach's talking, he's looking at history a little more, and not he has to he can't ignore them peoples, and so he's kind of bringing them peoples up when he mentions the Jesuits. He's starting to say that the Jesuits is full of them peoples because that's what the history shows you. So if you are talking about them, you can't excuse them. So more and more he's been not really excusing them. I'm like, okay, I dig your rap. Now Quantum, like I was just telling my son, I threw away a whole bunch of beans. Like I had these beans for 3 years and just, surplus, and I just got rid of them. I'm like, them things kind of last forever. I've lived, now I'm not depression age, but I'll say this. I've lived through this. I've lived through where we had something like 22 inches of snow, maybe 24 to 26 inches of snow in Michigan. It was so much snow. I wake up before my dad and I watch the news and I look outside. I walk in my garage. I lift my garage door up and it's snow up to my head in our driveway. It is waist high all the way to the street. It's waist high snow, but the drift in front of our door was like probably about 8 feet. And I tried to tell him because I was like, I saw it out my window and I saw it out the front door, but earlier I had opened up the garage. And I remember we walked to the grocery store. Matter of fact, I'll take that back. I went earlier. I went myself earlier and walked to the grocery store. And I told him what I saw. I was like, we got to go over there because they are literally running out of food. I went and bought some stuff and I went right back. I said, we got to go over here. I said, because if you don't come with me right now, it won't be no more food in this place. And we went there and it was really like they're trying to show some of these shortages now. I mean, this is a grocery store like nothing in it. I mean, we got there in time where it was enough, but from the time I went home till we came back, because this is my mother going, I mean, we walking in waist high snow. So we had kind of followed the way I had went. And then we had to bring a little sled to put stuff on because it's just too much to carry. And it was a difference in them, maybe 20, 30 minutes of me going home and coming back. But it was really, no bread, cans, hardly any cans. And I mean, if you've ever been to a store that's, it closed and they moving everything out of it, it was like a shell of a store almost because there was so much snow. The main roads was all up to your waist in snow. And I told the story before. We had to help firemen. We were coming from some girl's house. We had stopped at my aunt's house. We were walking home and we ran into firemen. And these firemen had a snowplow. I mean, a big one. And they were literally bloop, 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 bloop. And we caught them. They had went 2 or 3 blocks like this. We helped them carry the thing the last block. So we kind of backtracked past where we had come from. And we had to carry this about a block. But I mean, one pickup in the snow, one pickup in the snow, this big ass snowplow. And the snowplow was going to try to get out this trailer park. They needed this to help get out the trailer park. Because it was someone, it was a handicapped person. Maybe they just told us this, but that was the story, that they were trying to dig out this handicapped person's area so they could get the medication in and out. And maybe they told us some shit just to get us to help them. But that was the story. So we helped them about a block. And like they had to ship by train. They have trucks. Like you ever saw the mining trucks? Like you ever see how they mine stuff and they got these trucks with the wheels are big as like a 2-3 story house. Like the person is sitting up equivalent to like a 3-story building almost. These tires are like 2-story house size. And that's the kind of stuff they brought to move this snow. And it happened it happened 2 years in a row. It happened in 77, 78, and it happened in 78. Yeah, going into 79. Because I remember my senior year, like my junior year, we played a basketball game where we didn't go to school for 2 weeks. The first basketball game of the year came within them 2 weeks. We hadn't went to school in 2 weeks. We had still been practicing. That was what's funny. We were still, if you live close enough, we were still going up to the gym. But we played without going to school. They had dug out enough by then. Maybe it was a Friday night game. I don't remember. But to answer your question, I've experienced that before. And I've always kind of been a food hoarder. Like I've mentioned, I just threw away a bunch of food I've had for 3 years. Beans and stuff that probably would have been good. So could there be? Yeah. I remember my brother was mentioning like this thing that's going on. They plan to hold this to 30. I mean, remember some of the early things about masks was that they wanted the mask to last till 30. So can you imagine that? The children, this group of children got to graduate. My daughter graduates in 29. So she's going to have to wear masks until she graduates. And what is that going to do to her as far as giving her asthma or any of that kind of thing? I mean, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. So I will say, because like I have 3 cupboards just packed with food, pastas, cans, beans. And I'll say this. You'll be surprised how fast you can eat 100 cans of food. If you only had 100 cans, you'd be surprised. Like say that's your 3 meals a day. You would be surprised how fast you would go through them cans. And it's a bunch of people too. You would be surprised. And I'll say this, one thing that also brings out crack demon behavior is hunger. Hunger will make a person act almost like a demon. A hungry person that's trying to feed others too, yeah, it'll act like a crackhead, like a demon. So that's something to consider as well. That would make people very dangerous, more than, the biting, afraid of the biting. It would be the people that, would want to break into other people's house to steal your food. Because that's what would happen. I mean, people would go house to house to try to strong take the weak. I mean, that's what they used to do back in the olden days. I mean, hell, you study what England did to Scotland, Ireland. I mean, what England did to Ireland. And you look up some of the original Irish people, how they looked, not before the English went there. And I mean, that was genocide. I mean, that's a genocide that's now talked about. The one way they tried to get rid of the people, the original people of Ireland, is the English tried to use genocide. They built the road that went nowhere. They literally went like right before this time of year and took all the crops for some years, left them barely anything. And then when the people was hungry and weak and couldn't do anything, talked about how lazy they was. All they did is sat around. This is what the English did to them. Tried to starve them to death. They tried to work them to death. They tried to starve them to death. And then the people said, okay, well, we can just survive on potatoes. We can survive on just potatoes. So they found a way to counter the English. Don't you know that them wizards went in there and found a way to poison the potatoes? They went in there and poisoned. They stuck a poison in the potatoes that would spread through the air and go to other potatoes. And this forced a lot of the people to come to America. I mean, America is, when I talk about the imbecile psychopath, America is nothing but that. I mean, the amount of people that they brought the more criminals here than it was almost triple of the criminals that went to Australia. This was almost a penal society as well. Like I said, Vietnam, and I'm going to keep repeating this. It was like, go to America or you stay in our prisons. Go to America and work or go to prison. And then when they decided their buffer class, cooling crystals. Yeah, of course they would. Of course they would. With everything broken down, these people already have a contingency plan of what they would do. The military would only stay the military for so long. The military wouldn't protect them forever, because once the military, again, checks quit going. Once the military people quit getting their checks, say everything was kind of broken and they couldn't get paid, or they didn't have no homes. You already see that the police ain't really policing anymore. They've been biased police. I was watching Dewan Brown's channel, and he was talking about L.A. Remember what L.A. did? L.A. went and recruited officers from the South that was used to misusing melanated people. So that's what Daryl Gates built. He built a what do we want to call it? He built an occupying force. And they did two things. They built an occupying military force. They called the police, LAPD. And then they started sectioning off the areas with highways, cutting up some of the neighborhoods with highways like you see all around. Detroit had the same thing. Had a business district where a lot of melanated people had jobs and stuff and businesses. Put a divider highway in it. You know how they put them big bridges in there and tear up a whole neighborhood, get rid of a neighborhood to put the highways in there, all in the name of progress, eminent domain. And that's the eminent domain goes with Columbia. We can take it no matter what. If we have a local government and we, as this local government agree, we can take what we want. That's pretty much what it is. I wanted to play pickleball today, but something interrupted me. Oh, cute little story. So I wanted to play pickleball, but had an interruption. Didn't get to go. But my daughter, I should have did it yesterday, but I drank beer all day and watched football. But anyway, my daughter starts basketball coming up, and she wanted to go get her shoes. So I told her I'd take her today. And so I got shit together, and we went out there. She was so excited. She has had a couple pair of Adidas, but never a real type of what would be considered almost a grown-up shoe. So she got the women's Candace Parker edition, which is a little different than my Dom 2s, but light. The light, what is the technology in it? Or my Dom 3s I have. But still the same technology. It's a lot of the same shoe, but the colors are orange and yellow. So if you go to a place and you see Candace Parker shoes, and keep in mind they had an all black one. I don't remember if they had that size or not, and maybe that was the only color that had her size. But she was so excited about getting her first gym shoes, and them shoes were like $100. Well, I had a discount too. So like I think I had a $20 discount. So I think they were 110 or something like that. And that's the cool thing. Like, buy clothes in Minnesota, there's no tax on clothes. That's why this is if you don't dress nice in this state, you're really a dumbass because clothes are cheap here. Clothes are cheap. Like what the price is, that's the price. $199, that's all you pay. That is one benefit. But we got Macy's is taking over. But before Macy's, it was Dayton's, it was Hudson's, and they even bought Marshall Fields. I mean, Marshall Fields, remember what was the Showtime show? They talked about the black lady wanted to work in the Marshall Fields in Chicago. Well, they end up buying all that. And now it's all bought by Dayton's. Dayton's sold themselves to Macy's. Because in Michigan, the stores was called Hudson's. Here they was called Dayton's, and Dayton's is the name of the family. Target that's the same family. Target was there like Walmart kind of, but even more upscale than Walmart. But the same people that own Target. Macy's doesn't own Target, I don't believe. I believe the Dayton family still own Target. But at one time they had Dayton's was more upscale, and then Macy's bought Dayton's. Like the Macy's store they closed downtown used to have the big like the New York style Santa Claus thing where it was like a couple floors of Santa Claus shit. That store was like downtown for 80 years until it's just at the mall. Well, there's several of them. Okay. Jeffrey says, do you see a time in the future where people will fight for food, and how long you see it lasting, and foresee the military turning on us? The hard thing, one thing you have to keep in mind is the military is so spread around the world. The problem with the military and the temperament of the military is how many of the military would go along with their homes being attacked, their families being attacked. And they would be smart enough to see what's propaganda and what's not propaganda, especially once some of these people start going home. And like, how long could they afford to isolate them before they would be forced to come back and just help with what's going on in America? I mean, really, like on the X-Men, when he killed all the missiles and stuff, remember, he collected all the bombs and destroyed them. To me, that would be, if I had those powers, that would be the first thing I would do is I'll bring all the American military back. What did they, out of this spending bill, what did somebody put? The paper said they asked for $19 billion and they gave the military $29 billion. With something like a mere between 10 and $20 billion, if they put that into the American people, it would rid homelessness. It would make everybody about the same level. And maybe that's communism, but the amount of money just spent in Afghanistan, if it had been spent in America, we would have new highways, new bridges. Everyone would have a middle-class house. Just that money in the 20 years it went to Afghanistan, and let's even add Iraq. If that money would have stayed in America, there wouldn't have been anything such as homelessness. Roads need to be repaired, pipes bad in cities. If you would have put this in just America instead of these corporations that make money, like I said the other night, last time I came on, when they go to war, corporations go with them. One thing Halliburton does is they feed them, they wash their clothes, wash their clothes, what else? And that's owned by the Bushes. I'll debate that with anybody. The Bush family bought that in 1947. They only put Cheney, the face of it, to hide so the Bushes could hide behind it. But Bush family bought that in matter of fact, it was a bankrupt company that the Bushes bought in 1947 after the war. So they was putting Cheney used to work. Well, you got two presidents that owned Halliburton, and Halliburton became so big that they headquarters and stayed. And I think their headquarters still is in Iraq, but they are the support for the army. So everybody's talking about Cheney, and you got two presidents that made money off of that. And this is what they think about the common people. And no, it's not communism. It's if you took the money and put it back into the country. That's not communism. I mean, what they don't understand is people gladly work if you make it work worthwhile. You build a society that's functional enough where everybody is cool. Everybody gets put in places would be cool with it because they can see the good that they're doing for society. They would see the good that it's doing for them. But they make you think that if they gave everybody all this bread, that people would just sit home and just smoke blunts and don't do shit. Like people, if the whole country was just good and everybody was middle class, they act like people would just not want to do shit. It would be the opposite. People would be eager to do things. That's the lie that they tell you. That's the lie that they try to make you think that is communism. I mean, there's no reason for any of these military bases around the world. Not any of them. Not anymore. There's no reason for war anymore. Not to America to be involved in. It's all corporation stuff. We support a government that backs corporations going to war and making money. That's what we support. And then they want to tell you it's communism if you want the money to come to America. That's the folly they put on people. Well, you know, if just people had money, no, people would be eager to do things, eager to help society. See, and that's the problem with revolution, that you have to kill to take over. And then you still got this killing right here in the background. And then you're supposed to forget that, and everything just turns around in society, just supposed to go the way the captor, the victor. That's why I put that last thing on. If you listen to what Fred Hampton said, it would be a folly to go out in the streets and try to fight them, just fight them. That'll never work. But people coming together in a serious way. And that's where we missed the ball about Floyd. That's where the people that was really saying go to Washington and shut down everything, that's why they did that fake stuff in Washington. That was all fake because people were saying, doing what what's his name wanted, the Pullman dude wanted to do an original King thing. He wanted to do it in the 30s and 40s. A. Philip Randolph. He wanted to go up there and shut everything down, not going breaking in these offices doing petty shit. He said, no, let's occupy Washington. And then send people in there to negotiate to open the country back up and quit stealing from the people. I mean, again, the day before 9/11 was that a rabbit hole when he said just $1 trillion was ended up missing? Then 9/11 comes the next day and the money's never talked about again. Is that just a rabbit hole that's put down there when they tell on themselves? But they can't ignore this war that was very unnecessary. 2 wars that was very unnecessary. And no dig at any of the veterans. That's no dig. Because you're just doing what you was told, what your financial situation and circumstances put you in. Hell, in some ways, it's really like the draft never lost or never went away. Because in some ways, people's financial situations for generations have stayed the same. And so people forced to go into the military. And I know people looked at and this is how some people felt like, if you come from a big graduating class, and mine wasn't giant, but I graduated with about 500 people. I know some schools in Detroit, like 1,200, some schools, 2,000 people. But when you graduate with a bigger class and you're seeing all these people leaving, And there you are stuck in the city. You really ain't got the money. Maybe you can work, maybe you can go to junior college, but you stuck seeing the same people. Well, some people, that kills them so much that they feel that they need to do something, so they join the military. They join the military. And there's no yay or nay, no judgment, but I'm saying that is what I've seen go through time. Like when I see these military days, we just had Veterans Day, and I'm seeing Facebook, all these thank yous, people I personally knew, all of them. Not one person, no, I'll take it back. I'm trying to have, I have a friend that went to West Point, that went in the military. He went to Afghanistan. I mean, this dude is West Pointer, heavy brother, but I don't know if I can get him on. He's the only exception. He was the only exception. Because, to go into West Point, you got to have a state senator. You have a senator to speak for you, to put you, I don't know if people realize that. West Point just don't recruit. No, it's more than that. Yeah, if you play good sports and you have the aptitude, but you have to have some political connections to put you into any of them. You have to have a political mouthpiece out there. And with his father and his uncle both, being prior military people, they knew how to get it done. They knew how to get. I know another dude. I went to school with a dude. He had all that lined up. I don't think he ended up going. I don't know what fell through, but I know, matter of fact, they both might have used. He's trying to think how much younger he is than me. No, it wasn't the same dude. They didn't have the same senator. But I don't mean a state senator. I mean the senator that's in Washington. That type of senator. So if you know someone that has those aspirations, that's what you got to start working on. It's like those of you that want to get college scholarships for your children, you start putting them in these groups. Now, I'm not necessarily saying Boulay or Masons or any of that, but those are places that offer money. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be tied to that. But one of the best things to start getting to do is working charity. Before maybe even you ask some of them, you can volunteer. You can do volunteer things for groups to get scholarships as well. So those of you that have children that ever hear that's in those ages, that's like I told my best friend, I say, you get it, he ain't gonna like it, but I say, you find the places that offer the scholarships, get him over there, start volunteering. And then, like same way with my daughter. I talked to her mother about it. She's like, oh yeah, my dad had me and they gave us money. So same thing. You start getting those ideas now and who you need to talk to get that extra money. And college ain't always the way to go. I mean, a lot of it's a scam. I mean, I went through generations where, like I said, my ex-wife didn't pay a dime. She didn't pay a dime for 4 years. She didn't start paying for college till she went and got her master's. That was the first time, and I went on a scholarship, so I did not have to pay either. That's kind of nice. That's real nice. Okay. So those are just some things to consider. Those are some things to consider that people might not be up on. But what do I see? Well, it's like this. You can only take one day at a time. You can only take one moment at a time and just judge that moment and prepare as much as you can. I mean, the thing that's so terrible is like real reality when it comes and smacks you in your face, and it's like once the event goes away, it's certain things that hit you so hard, and it's just like being in combat. That post-traumatic stress. It's so many things that can fuck with us that this just slaps us in our faces, and it's like this is what you're looking at. And it's like this shit is like this is like real as it gets. And no matter what spiritual level you're at, this thing tries to really make you crack when you look at shit like that. Like when you're looking at this shit, and this shit is like just the most negative thing that could just, and it's hard to get away from that shit. It stays on you, but two things. I say the first part that can help anybody if you ever get into this situation where the really real hit you in your face. It's the realest shit you ever go through. The biggest thing is whatever it is, don't make it bigger. Don't write stories. Like if this is just in your face and this is what you're holding, this is what you know. So don't make it, I mean, don't make it more than what it is. Like you're holding it in your hands and it is negative as it can be. Keep it at that. Don't make a story to go because one moment is this, the next moment is this, and the next moment is not, you're not even holding it. But when this negative that is just so negative, don't make it worse. Only make it worse as the moment is. Don't keep writing the story. So once it ends, make it end. Do not write a story. See, this is the thing about this sickness is your child or anybody got a cold, you want to start making a story. Your daughter gets sick, your son gets sick, grandma gets sick, automatically you write a story. It could be. I wonder. Just for a cold. People been getting sick, people been dying. I'm 60. Ain't never been a time where people don't get sick and people don't die. That's always been a thing. That ain't going away. So only, I guess, I mean, I try to emphasize this so much. Don't write a story. Husband, wife come home, a little sick. Okay. Well, this is maybe help you. This, but don't take it past that. Now, the second part ain't really going to be for everybody, but it's another, and it may sound cold, but this is really it too. Is I've said before, none of this shit means nothing. None of it. Don't mean nothing, not a thing. This is not what they make it out to be. Not on any level. This is like we had a they changed the shit on me. Oh, I got to bring this up too. Let me bring this up too. I had a deja vu last night, and it's not a deja vu. They changed some shit. That's what they do. It's not they changed some shit. But I want to bring this up. I was laying in bed the other night. Like with these sounds, I'm very in tune to how I sound when I'm sick, how I sound normally, how my house should sound. I just really am in tune. And I work with sounds all the time, especially my tuning forks. But I was laying in bed the other night and a completely different sound came in. I can't tell you where it came from. Didn't really make me get sick, but I heard it enough to it kind of bothered me. And I'm like, where does this come from? That could be something they do to attack people too, through frequency. It makes me wonder, they've had sound kind of weaponry for a number of years. And it's not hard to even sound and sickness. That's something that they kind of can push too. Sound, and they can push sickness by just different vibrations. Especially mental headaches and shit. Headaches, heart attacks, shit like that. So, guess I'm 2 hours. Okay. Thank you. So I guess in conclusion, I'm gonna say this though. I mean that last part is hard. To look at all this as it feels real, it tastes real. Kissing her feels real. I'm holding her. Really ain't. I am seeing too many mistakes. I'm seeing too many mistakes for this thing to be what they say it is. Like to catch that damn air feeder, whatever the kind of feeder, this pollution eater the other night. It was last night. Yeah, last night. To catch that pollution eater, I mean, how how real is it if something like that exists and it can be exposed? Like that thing is outside the normal video game of every day. If this was all they say it is, how does that even exist? It glitched on me. How could that possibly exist? Why do you think people run with stuff when people believe they are sick? People run with stuff when people believe they are sick. Why do you think people run with stuff when they believe they are sick? I mean, if you mean like now, even if you get sick, people start writing a story on the possibilities. Like I said, the one Puerto Rican brother said that with his dad, he go in the doctor's office and the doctor told him he had cancer. And he said, no, I didn't. And he said his dad never took any of that bullshit medicine, just changed his diet, started being healthier. And that's kind of how it is. It's like they tell you shit, you know. Now there's physical chemicals that just start attacking you. But I've said this before, like, and people like, well, if you really had it, you would. No, I would not take all them chemicals to stay here longer. I just couldn't do it. Who am I doing it for? I'm a suffer just so you can look at me longer? I mean, that shit's gonna eat at my soul. That shit is gonna take away from, you know, my spiritual side. If I have to put all this poison in me to preserve this thing, you think I've got any spirituality left in me? I take all these chemicals, you know, I'm barely hanging on with the chemicals I take now. And to take something worse that kills the whole cell, you know, that's what radiation does. It goes in there and it kill the cancer, but it also kill the good stuff. I've said this before. If this and I know this may sound for some, this ain't for everybody, but if you really think that you sick and you can overcome the fear, it'll let you live. It'll be like, okay, I'm feeling bad, and you start writing stories. I know I went to the hospital. I was trying hard as hell not to write stories. And I let myself down because I started writing so many stories. But then finally I was able to say, look, just be centered. Shot they gave me helped. but the more you just go with it, the more this thing will make you better. Now, if you will put all them drugs in you to stay alive, this thing loves that too. But if you look at this thing and say, okay, this is enough. I'm fine with this. It's a way that you can go at it. I mean, do these people think they are being virtuous in a way? Or is it chic because people don't tell when they have? It's almost, it's almost like the people that don't do it, how, you know, they're trying to say, you know, ostracize. Because remember, I'll say this, people on Facebook was tearing up people that was doing it in the beginning. I mean, they really was calling them dumb motherfuckers. And it turned. And that same thing, the ones that did do it, they turned that on people. You have people saying, yes, they should be forced to. You have I got a cousin, good guy, but he's saying, yes, people should be forced to do it. And we was doing the same thing. I'll say that it was when they first started doing it, was telling you, giving all the facts about this shit. And then now so many people. So this is kind of what they want to turn to say, you know, California, you can't go to games. Fuck California. I read a big thing. The amount of people that are moving out of California, they're like, fuck California. There's other places right now. And other places ain't going to go for that shit. Oh, my cats are fighting. I'm like, what am I hearing? I'm hearing somebody outside needing help, being attacked, distressed. I'm gonna conclude like this. Now, I'm a weapons dude. I want to say this. I know a lot of like women. Couple good guns is Ruger makes a model that can shoot 9mm. It can shoot 357, and it can shoot 38s. And it's a 5-shot pocket pistol. You can have it with a hammer, or you can have it without a hammer. The problem with semi-automatics is if they jam and you don't know how to make them not jam, or you pull it out and it ain't racked, or you pull it out and you forget it's on the safety. Them little guns don't have none of that. All you got to do is point and pull. That's all you got to do is point and pull. And that is going to be, and you can put it anywhere. You can put it in, it's perfect for in your pockets. Somebody approach you and you got a little pistol in your pocket talking about robbing you. Even if they have a gun out, you could shoot them. You would shoot them. They would hear boom. You can shoot easily through your coat. Because somebody approached you with a gun, you just shoot them. Because most people, they don't want to kill you. Now they're telling you they want cars. And they want to make people believe that here in the city, people's just taking cars now. These is junky cars. Like the story I showed. Dude, like they want you to believe the people waited. You know how first-degree murder is people lay in wait? They want you to believe that these dudes was hiding in the bush for this raggedy car. Well, why did they tell you? Well, they're going to commit a crime somewhere else and they need a hot car. Nobody does that. Shotguns are good for women in the house. Yeah, in the house. But I'm saying if you're thinking about carrying, unless you're proficient, you can even get a big revolver, it shoots Magnum, it shoots 38. There's old police models that still not a very big gun, but shoot a nice little barrel to shoot 38s, shoot 357s. But for something just simple, easy to carry, it's tricky if you don't really practice with a gun. Revolver will get you out of it. Revolver can get you out of it. So it's better to shoot now and explain later than be hurt in explaining. So, but yeah, shotgun for the house is this is the best thing I could say for a house. You want something that can penetrate through walls and floors. That's the beautiful thing about 9mm. 9mm gonna go through damn near anything. It's the speed of the bullet. They travel so fast. That's why when you get practice rounds of 9s, they're a problem because even the practice rounds, low grade ones still travel very fast and would penetrate walls and penetrate floors. That's why a lot of people they're like, well, you have defensive rounds. The practice rounds is better to me because they'll go through anything and they're cheaper. So yeah, shotgun for the house, but personal protection until you become proficient with because again, a semi-auto, if it jams, do you know what to do? And a lot of times that's why they would carry backups. You'd have a backup gun too, because especially with a semi-auto, if something happens to that, it jams and you can't get it, shit, you'd have a backup pistol too. And that's a good backup pistol. To have another little pistol. Always carry 2. Shit, when I was a cop, I had 4 guns. I had the shotgun in the cruiser, and I carried 3 on me. I always left my button open right here. I unbuttoned that one, and I had that 40 caliber. I was like, we were still carrying 226s, and I want to say it was what was the first Glock 40? 23, maybe 22. I want to say maybe 23. But I had the Glock right on my hook, right on my vest here, and we carried 226 SIGs, and then I had a Derringer in my pocket. That I had it Derringer. I had a 357 Derringer, and trying to think. Yeah, you could have. Yeah, it was like you could have it cocked. You could have it cocked and on safety. I had that cocked and on safety in my pocket. So if you ever, and then cops are taught not to have them in your pockets, but I ended up putting it in my coat pocket. So if you saw me with my hand in my coat pocket, one hand, I was holding that Derringer instead of trying to quick draw somebody. And my Stacy, advice to those who aren't permitted to carry firearms. Shoot first, ask questions later. That is right. Openly stealing from grocery stores all over the country. Also, there are a lot of people just openly stealing from stores. I don't know. Does that benefit your area? I mean, does that really benefit your area that you live in? If you live in somewhere where like that, I wouldn't want to live around that. I'm not seeing that. Matter of fact, I'm seeing the problem that everybody having is the stores is being closed longer during the day because enough people ain't working. I'm seeing that a lot. I go out to the mall. Like if I don't play pickleball, I just go out to the mall to get my walk in. I walked 2 miles today. Messing around with my daughter, I just kept making her go around. And we was going up and down. And then finally, she was like, "Well, because like I told her, I'm looking. I was like gonna get her a slice of pizza, but I'm like, damn, if I get her a slice of pizza and I get a slice of pizza, that's as much as a pizza I can get. We can go drive and get a pizza." So she's like, "Okay, well, can I get a pretzel?" And then we had to go back upstairs to get the pretzel. So it was more walking. So it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. Advice to those who aren't permitted to carry firearms. Well, I'll say this. I've been carrying guns since I was 17 years old. When I got my first gun. When I went to North Carolina, I bought 18, 19. I bought 2 or 3 guns when I was that age. I've always bought guns. So, Michigan, all the guns had to be registered. So when I lived in Michigan and had guns, they was all registered. That was the laws in Michigan. Even the guns I brought from North Carolina, and I didn't register some of them. I know my dad worked for the city. He didn't have all his guns registered either. But I brought some guns from North Carolina that I never registered. So I've had permits to carry. I have a permit to carry, but which I've had since 1989. I've had a permit to carry a gun since 1989. So I've had federal permits. So I just think it's a natural right. And it's like it's like a coat. You can always take a coat off. But if you ain't got it, you can't put it on. So I've always looked at guns like that. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So you can take it how you want to take it. I think it's your natural right to defend yourself, especially at home. And like you said that people stealing from stores, I wouldn't want to live around that. Not yet. And so far, it ain't like that yet. Now, could it get like that? Perhaps. When I know I've seen the videos in the past of people doing that, and it's all melanated people they show doing that. That is an attack. To me, that's still not a natural thing. That is more of an attack. Like some of this rioting we were seeing wasn't really natural. It was attacks. It was actually attacks. Then real rioting, then real people being upset. I mean, I live so far from the city. I mean, it's 2 major bridges they got to come across to get down here. You got to get across the Mississippi River, and then you got to get across the Minnesota River to my east and to my west. And there's a lot of other kind of strategies. I kind of like where I live. And that's the thing. It's like, know your neighbors. Know people that would be down. That's the biggest thing. Well, 2 hours and a half is longer than I want to. People not paying attention. That's why the Rittenhouse dude got off. But like I didn't care. The people that kill Europeans the most is other Europeans. Europeans kill each other more than anybody else kills them. They kill each other. So that's how I looked at that. That was Europeans done killed each other. That's why I mentioned the show with Jason Black. He is riling up people to be with liberalism. That is the point. This dude killed some liberals. That's how they painted it. And so he's a racist because he defended himself against liberals. Liberals attacked him. And that's where Jason Black was coming from. Why did you care? Like, that's nothing I care about. That ain't got nothing to do with me. It's a distraction. PJ, you know, that's a distraction. So that's nothing I really wanted to pay attention to. I don't fuck him. You know, that's what was they fucking with him for? So I don't feel sorry for the people he shot. They was fucking with him. They was out there. I'm sure there was people at home. So I ain't on that here side, the other side. I just don't care about that shit. That's my point. It's a distraction. I don't care. You know, whatever happens to him, I don't care. He get off, I don't care. I mean, we saw the brother up here got off less time. They gave him 2 years. Instead of him having to spend 12 years, he got to spend roughly, I don't even think he got to spend 2 more years. I think he's got to do like 1.5 years, something like that. 8-10 months instead of 12. Chauvin, the same thing gonna happen to Chauvin. They're gonna let this shit die down. Then Chauvin gonna get a new sentencing too. Watch. We already see it. You saw it in his case, you're gonna definitely see it in Chauvin's case, where Chauvin gonna get less time. So just to rile people up again. What, people gonna get mad because he gets less time? You think that's gonna make people riot? 2 years after the case, Chauvin, whatever, this same Supreme Court let that shit go back in and get resentenced. You think people gonna be riled up for that? So, Keelan, if that's you pissing, you better flush my toilet. He's a traditional non-flushing toilet motherfucker. That's why in the middle of the night, I grab him by the hair, start punching him in his neck, and force him over to the toilet, make him smell that nasty shit. He'd be mad in the motherfucker. That is just gross as it can be. Just stale piss. To walk in the bathroom and smell stale piss is just a horrible smell. That Rittenhouse, that's sending folks off though. Yeah, it is sending people off, but it shouldn't be. You know, no melanated people should give a fuck about that. You know, that Rittenhouse case doesn't matter at all. No, it's nonsense. Yeah, it's always follow the bouncing ball. Well, I flush. See, this is the thing is, I've got a tall toilet. You know, I don't like them little toilets that's really low. That's too low for me. I'm an old pimp. I've got to have a high toilet, you know, and it's got the push down. I don't have the old fashioned. It's the push down. Well, the thing is I've got shelving over it. So he's too lazy to, you know, you got to be sweet. You know, after you get done with your business, you just reach under there and push it down, you know, like boom, you know. My daughter doesn't either, so she's just as nasty. She don't flush either. Go in there, it'd be paper or big bombs in there, you know. This children, I had to do her the same way, grab her by her hair and punch her in her neck a few times and take her in the bathroom and like, this stinks, this stinks, this stinks. She didn't like it, but told her mother what she did, and her mother agreed. But I've been over to their house, and her mother does it too. It's like, God damn. That's okay. I'm gonna wait till I go home, then come home and be the same shit. This motherfucker does not flush the toilet. Like I can't get away from it. Surprise you how quickly people are willing to bow down to this crisis, even though they know it's wrong. Yeah, to have the world wearing masks in 2 weeks was phenomenal. Like right now, it's people wearing masks don't have to. It's like there's no mask mandate. People wearing them anyway. There's no real medical push for people to still wear masks, but people are wearing masks like more and more every day. It's almost like a movie. Like it's more and more every day. And so now this is what people do here. And the people that they wear masks, their children wear masks all day. And if their children go somewhere, they make them wear masks at night. Now the children aren't wearing masks when they play sports. They're not wearing masks when they play sports. or when they go to gym. But the children, if you take them to the stores at night and you're a mask wearing family, that means your child is in the mask for 10, 11 hours a day. That I'm seeing this is what they're doing to their children. They wear masks all day. If their children go out the house, they wear masks hours at a time, continued. So that's insanity. That's insanity. So what time is it? Oh shit, it's that late. I guess I am gonna go. Well, I can't even read my own writing. So I'm going to end this with Mora. This is some time walking information. It all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. The civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the Great Serpent. And as the Mayan would say, I am another yourself. Well, this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I've been your humble host. Eight Wind is timeless. I am also known as the Time Lord. I am the last and only Time Walker. Thank you for the support. Thank you for hanging with me. I do want to get the Awakened one on here. We've been trading anime and stuff. I got to send her stuff about the Fates cartoons, or anime, excuse me. But she wants to come. I got to figure out how to get this bug off of here that I have. So, but same to you, Jeffrey. Thank you very much. So as I always say, think I'm gonna come on tomorrow too. If you guys want to hang out, I think I'm gonna come on tomorrow night too because we got a full moon coming Friday night. So yeah, till we meet again.